gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Canal Algérie's News in English. And the beginning is with the headlines. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, holds a phone call with the President of the Republic of the Congo, Brazzaville, Denis Sassou Nguesso, where he reaffirmed Algeria's support to the representative of the African Union for the national reconciliation in Libya. The President of the Republic receives Professor Ilyas Zarhouni, Special Advisor to the National Agency of Health Security. The Prime Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman supervises in the International Conferences Center Abdelatif Rahal the launch of the e-governmental public services portal, which includes 320 public service and 29 ministerial sectors. On the occasion of the 9th High-Level Conference on Peace and Security in Africa, Algeria reiterated its engagement for solutions to the continent's problems. Abroad in Morocco, demonstrations of different sectors continue. Tonight we shed light on teachers demanding better working conditions despite repression and mass arrests by Al-Makhzen to the government's opponents. Good evening, those are today's headlines. First in our news, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, received Professor Ilyas Zarhouni, Special Advisor to the National Agency of Health Security. The meeting took place at the premises of the Presidency of the Republic in the presence of the Principal Private Secretary to the Presidency of the Republic, Abdelaziz Khalaf, and the head of the Health Security Agency, Karan Sanhaj. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, held a phone conversation with the President of the Republic of the Congo, Brazzaville, Denis Sassou Nguesso, on the state of bilateral relations and cooperation perspectives. On the occasion, the President reaffirmed that Algeria supports and stands with the representative of the African Union for national reconciliation in Libya, wishing him success in achieving his noble mission and to prepare the suitable atmosphere for the conduction of the elections. In other news, the Prime Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman supervised on Wednesday in the International Conferences Center Abdelatif Rahal the launch of the e-governmental public services portal in the presence of a number of members of the government, the mediator of the Republic, in addition to heads of national bodies and institutions. The Premier reaffirmed that this portal, which includes more than 300 digital public services of 29 ministerial sectors, is an embodiment of the President of the Republic's commitments to achieving digital transformation in Algeria and to generalize the use of technologies in administrations and institutions to achieve quality public services available to everyone. Let's have a listen to the Prime Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman.
The launch of this government portal for public services is a pivotal step in boosting the process of digitization and modernization of the administration and bringing it closer to citizens as part of the national digital transition strategy to enable our country to consecrate digital sovereignty in a context noticed by epic technological, which has cybernetic danger, especially since our country is not immune to these dangers. I would like to reaffirm that our country's strategy in the field of digital transition is essential to ensure the development of telecommunications infrastructure, a strategy based on forward-looking approach through major investments, particularly in connection with the global internet network concerning fixed and mobile networks with improved rate flow.
On to the parliamentary activity, where the President of the National People's Assembly, Ibrahim Boughali, supervised on Wednesday the proceedings of the Parliamentary Day entitled The Role of the Opposition in Building the Desired Algeria, with university professors, specialists in political sociology and constitutional law, and was attended by parliamentarians and a number of heads and representatives of political parties, as well as representatives of some national organizations, society actors. On this occasion, occasion, Ibrahim Boughali stressed that the positive role of the opposition is guaranteed by the Constitution, praising the programs and ideas put forward by the positive opposition in the interest of the homeland and serving the people, no matter how different it is from others. Let's have a listen.
The Algerian constitution clearly enshrines the role of the opposition and the democratic exercise. For this fact, the doors of dialogue and consultation remain open for all. Algeria is moving today towards the consecration of the democratic exercise with strong determination. This is what the President of the Republic reaffirms on each occasion, and this is what is clearly reflected on the ground. The last elections, which followed the constitutional amendment and which translate the sincere political will, also testifies the strong representativeness of the opposition at the time of the last legislative and local elections. In this context, we must salute the positive role of the opposition, which works to promote its programs and its ideas, which are certainly in the interest of the nation and the service of the people, regardless of the differences of views.
The Prime Minister, Ayman bin Abdurrahman, chaired on Wednesday a government meeting where the following matters were discussed. In the finance sector, the government examined a bill on currency and loans submitted by the Minister of Finance. This bill comes as part of the social, economic and financial reforms initiated by the public authorities, adopted to the comprehensive reforms taking place in the finance system, the modernization of the banking management professions. In the trade sector, the government examined a bill that determines the conditions for the exercise of commercial activities as part of the economic reforms initiated by the public authorities to facilitate the active investment by simplifying the administrative procedures and reducing the deadlines for establishing institutions. In the national education, the government examined the draft executive decree which contains the reorganization of the supply center for educational equipment and tools and its maintenance. In the social security field, the government studied a draft executive decree presented by the Minister of Labor, Employment and Social Security. It includes the transmission of the higher school of Social Security outside the university into a higher school. Lastly, the government studied the outcome of the implementation of the 6th Central Census of Population and Housing. The 9th High-Level Conference on Peace and Security in Africa kicked off in Iran under the theme Support for New African Members of the United Nations Security Council in dealing with peace and security issues in the African continent. Ministers, members of the African Union's Peace and Security Council, and African members of the UN Security Council are discussing these issues. Manal Ammari has more.
Algeria has once again reaffirmed through the Foreign Affairs Minister Ramtan Lamamra its firm determination to defending the value of unity, solidarity as well as Africa's interests in all areas, adding that Algeria will continue its role as a driving force for peace and stability in Africa by providing full support for the implementation of African solutions to the continent's problems.
Our perseverance in pursuing this noble objective is all the more relevant today as the world is going through increasing tensions and mounting polarization against the background of a major crisis that threatens to revive one of the darkest chapters of human history, while exacerbating the negative impacts of many other existing crises, including in Africa. These new circumstances have unveiled again the structural weaknesses of the international system for the maintenance of international peace and security.
Ramtan Lamamra also expressed his satisfaction of the progress achieved in the area of the operationalization of flagship projects, namely in the area of accelerating Africa's integration and development. Furthermore, he saluted the current A3 members, namely Ghana, Gabon, in addition to the group coordinator, the Republic of Kenya, for their great efforts in the defense of common African positions and congratulated them for their unified role.
Building on this dynamic, Algeria aspires to bring its share to this continental enterprise through its candidature for a non-permanent seat in the UN Security Council during the period 2024-2025.
The meeting of Iran will also address the issue of silencing arms in Africa through disarmament and the control of the proliferation of illegal lightweight and small caliber arms, and the fight against the scourge of terrorism and violent extremism, in addition to issues related to taxation and the implementation of sanctions.
On the sidelines of the proceedings of the 9th High-Level Conference on Peace, Security in Africa, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Community Abroad, Rumtal Al-Amamra, received his Nigerian counterpart, Jeffrey Onyema. The Algerian Foreign Minister also received Jean-Pierre Lacroix, the United Nations Under-Secretary General for Peace Operations, for face-to-face talks. On to the closing ceremony of the African Startup Conference, where project leaders saluted the decisions taken that would open new doors for this type of enterprises in the African continent. Sabrin Tefirginit.
In the entrepreneurship world, project leaders living abroad reiterated their full commitment to bring their skills and expertise to the country, a way to contribute to its economic development. It's a radical change. Youth people are more interested in this field with their ideas. Some of them just graduated college and others are entrepreneurs. I'm personally an owner of a startup of artificial technologies. I went abroad for research purposes, to work and to learn. Today we are witnessing the determination of Algerian authorities to give us the opportunity to invest in the country. Some of these young project managers are planning to introduce their startups here in Algeria after gaining the valuable expertise needed abroad. We already started investing. We have the startup label. We had some exchanges with Acer to finance some of our investment projects here in Algeria. We are also planning to have an artificial intelligence center. Algeria Venture, one of the main startup accelerators in the country, and with its supportive role, is making innovative ideas a reality by unleashing the full potential of Algerian youth. One of the main objectives of the bank is to focus in the future on this type of enterprise, which is in reality a source of wealth and job opportunities. The bank's future goals is to create one or two branches that will follow up these startups.
C'est de créer carrément une ou plusieurs filiales qui seront à même d'accompagner ces entreprises start-up.
We conducted the largest training course of entrepreneurship in the world with participation of no less than 110,000 students in partnership with the DGRSDT. An ambitious program is being carried out by the government, highlighting the main role of startups of upgrading national economy. The interest and attention brought to this particular sector encourages the youth to enter this innovative field.
The General Directorate for National Security, DGSN, announced the dismantlement of a criminal network which distributes licentious publications targeting children on social media. This investigation is supported by the confessions of those involved in this case. Details with Manal Amari.
A criminal network distributing licentious publications targeting children on social media has just been dismantled. The investigation, carried out by elements of the Central Services for the Fight Against Cybercrime under the authority of the General Directorate for National Security, DGSN, revealed that this premeditated criminal offense, which targeted primary school students, dates back to November.
رصدت المصلحة المركزية لمحاربة الجرائم السيبرانية وفي سابقة خطيرة لم يتم تسجيلها.
The DGSN Central Services for the Fight Against Cybercrime detected a dangerous criminal activity never recorded before, which aims to harm the moral, physical and mental integrity of children through the creation of groups on Facebook. This activity dates back to last November 16th, targeting primary school students. The investigation conducted by our services allowed us to determine the date and time of the creation of these groups and identifying 20 individuals between the ages of 18 to 29 who are directly involved in this international criminal network, active in private groups on social media, 11 of which are administrators. 2 among the 7 members are Moroccans, distributing licentious publications. The 2 Moroccans are promoters of this immoral act, carefully engineered by the Makhzen, that targeted vulnerable school children, potential easy victims of sexual abuse.
أنا نكون شي بزاف في الانترنت يعني أصلا كانت فيسبوك لي ريزو سوسيو لي جروب نكومونتي لهم كذا.
I am always online using various social media platforms such as Facebook. I comment on posts published on groups. I was contacted by a private account named Floria. We started talking, then they asked me to become a group admin and I accepted. I thought he was Algerian since he never mentioned that he was Moroccan. He started telling me what to post and what not to post, and then it started getting out of control. We would like to ask the Algerian state to forgive us.
وانا مانيش كنتش انا بالي هكذا نطلبوا من الدوله الجزائريه تسمح لنا.
انا كنت ادمين واحد بروفيل هكذا تاع المنشورات هذوما. انا اجوتي دخلت لقيت كذا السيد هذا مروك.
I was a group admin and I added an account which published these kinds of posts. We started conversing and I did not know he was Moroccan. I had no idea I would reach this level. I would like to ask these students' parents to forgive me.
نديرهم في لاباج تبع قصرات نضحكوا ليجام الناس تكومونتي كذا ما كنتش نحب اللي تلحق الدار هذا حتى وين. أنا نطلب من الأولياء تلاميذي يسمحوا لي سمحوا لي سمحوا لي سمحوا لي.
A thoroughly prepared plan that failed thanks to the security services' hard work, which dismantled this network in record time.
بعد تحديد هوية ومواقع المتورطين في هذه القضية تم العمل على
After identifying and locating individuals involved in this case, we proceeded to dismantling this network and suspending all the groups in record time. In coordination with judicial authorities, 16 suspects were arrested and brought to justice for attempted breach of children's privacy by distributing licentious photos and publications throughout Facebook, promoting others to take advantage of them and inciting them to engage in immoral practices. The International Criminal Police Organization Interpol praised the Algerian police's professionalism, the result of a continuous and vigorous work in the fight against cybercrime, particularly against minors. Within this context, the DGSN is calling on parents whose children were victims of similar practices to go to the police stations across the national territory to file a complaint against these individuals or provide statements.
5 support elements for terrorist groups and 64 drug traffickers were arrested, whereas large quantities of drugs were seized during separate operations led by detachments of the National People's Army. These quality results reflect the high professionalism, vigilance, and permanent availability of our armed forces throughout the national territory. More details with Anya Al-Bahri.
In the framework of the fight against terrorism, combined detachments of the National People's Army have arrested 5 support elements of terrorist groups in separate operations across the national territory. As part of the fight against organized crime and in continuity of sustained efforts aimed at countering the scourge of drug trafficking in our country, combined detachments of the National People's Army have arrested in coordination with the various security services during operations carried out through various military regions 64 drug traffickers and seized 18.5 kilograms of treated cannabis and 323,613 psychotropic tablets. In Tamnarast, Borj Beji Mukhtar, Ingizam, Janet and Tindouf provinces, Detachments of the National People's Army intercepted 155 individuals and seized 21 vehicles, 155 generators, 124 jackhammers, 9 metal detectors, 15 quintals of mixture of raw gold and stones, as well as detonating tools and equipment used in illicit gold panning operations, while 12 other individuals were arrested and 11 hunting rifles, 3 shotguns, quantities of foodstuffs intended for smuggling amounting to 25 tons, as well as 18 quintals of tobacco and 15,720 units of various beverages were seized during several operations across the national territory. In the same context, the border guards, in coordination with the National Gendarmerie, thwarted attempts to smuggle a large quantity of fuel amounting to 17,946 liters into Bisa, Suqahra, Sattaraf and Bashar provinces. For their part, the Coast Guards thwarted at the level of our national coasts attempts of illegal immigration and proceeded to rescue 71 individuals on board of craft-built boats, while 142 illegal immigrants of different nationalities were arrested throughout the national territory.
In other news, the president of the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic, Secretary General of the Polisario Front, Brahim Ghali, was invited to the 10th Congress of the Revolutionary Party of Tanzania, held on Wednesday and Thursday in Doma, where he praised the principled position of Tanzania in favor of the right of the Sahrawi people to self-determination since the start of the liberation struggle against Spain and Morocco. Brahim Ghali affirmed that Tanzania's principled position stems from the firm conviction that tolerance of any irresponsible act is a crime against Africa, as it undermines the foundations of the African Union and tends to destroy this continental foundation from within. On this occasion, the Sahrawi president harked back on the historical links that bind the two parties share with all liberation movements and progressive African parties, the same principles and the same noble objectives, especially when it comes to working for the unity of the peoples of Africa and the liberation of the continent from the residues of colonialism. Moroccan teachers maintain the mobilization. They are numerous to demonstrate in several cities of the country. Better working conditions are at the top of their demands, still faced by the indifference of Al Makhzan. More details with Daniel Bahri.
These images are now part of the daily life of Moroccans. Outraged contract teachers stepped up to the plate on Tuesday, rebelling against deplorable working conditions and denouncing the attitude of the Moroccan authorities, who turned a deaf ear to their demands. How long time this policy of double standards against teachers will take? Faced with the indifference of the Makhzan, Moroccan teachers said they are continuing their struggle. We are still defending to our legitimate right to public office. This law won't stop us. We are still steadfast. We are still holding on to the issue of persecuting those professors who went out to protest peacefully and demanded their right to public employment, and we are continuing until all demands are met. Adding to that, the National Coordination of Teachers in Morocco has organized protests in Fes and Marrakesh provinces, in addition to a demonstration in Rabat, coinciding with the trial of their colleagues. The protesters expressed their rejection of the appeal trial of 45 contract teachers judged because of their participation in a demonstration in the Moroccan capital.
These demonstrations, which became a daily routine for the population, are faced with arbitrary arrests, freedom violations. However, in Rabat, like in many other cities, Moroccans keep demanding their right for a decent life. Once again.
Thousands participated in a Rabat demonstration as a response to the Moroccan Social Front call. People denounced repression, freedom violations, and the miserable life conditions. Manifestors took this opportunity to reaffirm their strong solidarity with the Palestinian cause, denouncing by that normalization with the Zionist entity.
كما كتعرفوا أن المواطن والمواطنة تضرر كثيرا خاصة بالزيادات الكبيرة يعني في
Citizens are affected by the increase of hydrocarbons cost, which took a toll on first necessity products. What happened to the 17 billion cents? Moroccans are suffering. Football is just a luxury. Decent life must be provided.
دائما ما يقول أن شركات المحروقات تراكم الملايير ديال الدراهم حين أن المواطن المغربي في معاناة مستمرة. نقول أنه لا صوت يعلو فوق صوت الغلاء هنا في المغرب، وأن كرة القدم تدخل فقط في إطار الكماليات، تدخل في إطار الترفيه، وأنه يجب توفير العيش الكريم.
انت فرق بين القمع وبين الغلاء هما في كفة واحدة. حنا خارجين اليوم باسم الجبهة الاجتماعية المغربية.
In the name of the Moroccan Social Front, we are demonstrating today freedom, repression, arrestations, and the high cost of living.
القمع لا في الحقوق كنحتجوا كيقمعونا في الوقفات وكاين اعتقالات، الناس كتسدوي ناس كيعتقلوهم، وحنا دابا خارجين هنا حقوقنا لأننا تقهرنا.
The initiator of this demonstration, the Moroccan Social Front coordinator, indicated that it took part after several sittings organized on a national level.
المسيرة اللي قررتها الجماعة الاجتماعية المغربية ضد ما يعرفه كل المواطنات والمواطنون.
The reason behind this manifestation, organized by the Moroccan Social Front, is known for every Moroccan: the flaming food prices, unemployment, and so on.
من هجوم على السكن ديال المواطنات والمواطنين وتفويت الأراضي للمافيات ديال العقار والفقر اللي كيعيشوا الشعب المغربي.
الشعب ضعيف بزاف وكاين اللي ما لقاش باش يعيش.
People can't live in these conditions. Schools and necessary institutions are from some of us too far away. Thousands of Moroccans coming from different cities, representatives of political parties, trade union, and human rights organizations, all of them mobilized to reclaim their much-taken rights.
Wanibik, a Sahrawi expression, as well as the title of Rabah Slimani's movie, the Algerian producer conveyed the pain of the Sahrawi people in a moving documentary in which he showcased their fight for freedom. The documentary won the first prize of the Sahara Festival and was screened in the Mufti Zakaria Palace of Culture. And with that, our news edition comes to a close. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great night.